Welcome. In another video entitled Does 1 Corinthians 15 verse 45 teach that Adam was the first man, I explained that this passage is speaking of the lineage of Jesus Christ back to Adam. Therefore, it is not saying that Adam was the first man. You can click on this video at the end of this video, or read my reasons in my book, New Evidence for Two Human Origins, Discoveries that Reconcile the Bible and Science. In this video, we will deal with 1 Corinthians 15:47, which also does not state that Adam was the first man, even though some people may think that it does. Let us look at this verse in context. Reading from the King James Version, beginning at 1 Corinthians 15, verse 44, and you can read along, says, "It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man Adam was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth earthy. The second man is the Lord from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly." In verse 45, Paul is explaining that there are two kinds of bodies, the natural body and the spiritual body. We showed in our last video that Paul proved that Adam had a human natural body by quoting Genesis 2:7, and he noted also that Christ had a life-giving spiritual body. This would have been after his resurrection. I showed that the best way to interpret verse 45 as it is shown and in this chart. Adam was the first man in Christ's lineage back to Adam. It does not say that Adam was the first man. Verse 47 says, "The first man is of the earth earthy. The second man is the Lord from heaven." In this verse, Paul is saying that the first man in this genealogy of Christ was earthly. This was Adam's nature, as Paul had already proved from quoting Genesis. The first man means the first man Paul referred to in verse 45. The second man is so called because he is the second man that Paul spoke of in his discussion of the genealogy of Christ as recorded in verse 45. Paul may not have called Christ the last man here as he did in verse 45, because in verse 45 he seems to employ the words last Adam to show that Christ exchanged a natural body for a resurrected spiritual body, and because using the words last man would have diminished the thought that Christ is the first of those who received the spiritual heavenly body. Also, Christ may be called a second man because he received his resurrected body after Adam was created with a natural body. Paul emphasized that we receive a natural body first, and after this we receive a spiritual resurrected body suitable for our dwelling in heaven. So since Paul is referring to verse 45, in which Adam was the first in the lineage of Christ, and Christ was the second person mentioned in verse 45, we do not need to conclude that Paul is saying that Adam was the first man of the human race. Thanks for listening.